Hi, welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. I'm Christel Crawford. This is season 2, episode 2. That's all kinds of crazy. And I called this episode Magic. I forget what I called it. Something about magic and getting clear. Getting clear, the magic thing that does the thing that gets you everything you want. Something like that. Hi, Saskia. I'm in Georgia. I am actually going to be here for a while. I don't know when I'm leaving Georgia, except that I am flying on Wednesday to go to Utah to facilitate a class, so there's that. But I wanted to talk about this today because this has been one of those things that has really been up for me lately. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Sabrina. This getting clear thing. Now, this is not a new conversation for a lot of you guys that, play with access consciousness. Hi, Chris. This is something a lot of us talk about, getting clear so that you can have what you want. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Mirana. Beautiful. Hi, Tanya Ray. See, I said it wrong. So this getting clear thing. So a couple weeks ago, Stephanie did an actualization class here in Georgia, and she invited me to be a part of it and just hang out as a guest. And I got so much out of that thing. Hi, Mary. Hi, Sabrina. So if Stephanie Richardson ever does another actualization class, I recommend it times a godzillion. Hi, Ineki. So if you guys have stuff that you're desiring to actualize that seems to be eluding you, or you don't know how, or thing or that, or stuff that comes up, hi Renata, oh my god, all of you, put it in the comments because I'm going to talk about it today. All right, so I actually I sent an email. Hi Wesley, hi Mary. I sent an email out to my list and I'm like, hey, if you guys have anything that you are desiring to actualize, hit reply and hit me up. And I had one person send me a thing, and so I want to start with this thing. Let me find it. Miss Kathy Jackson, hi Katerina, said, what would it take? Because I'm basically like, hey, listen, it's time for me to have it all. Like, it's just time for me to have the life I want, the things I want, the people I desire. Like, it's just time for me to have it all. I don't know about you guys, but that's my basic point of view. And what I'm really interested in, hi Michelle, is actualizing it in a way that doesn't kill me, that doesn't require the force and the effort and all that kind of stuff that, I'm really good at most of my life. So it's learning how, for me, or just choosing, I think it's not so much learning as choosing to actually function with the universe the way the universe works, right? The universe has this way of working, and for a really long time, I thought that I had to believe in it for it to work. You don't have to believe in a plant for it to grow the way that it does. You don't have to believe in oxygen for it to be there. You don't have to believe in water for it to be like, for it to do what it do. It do what it do whether you believe in it or not. And so actualization and asking and receiving is the same way. It works whether you believe in it or not. So I kept hearing myself say, Steph and I would be talking and doing this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I get it. I can perceive the energy of that thing. And I was like, I wish I believed in that, but I don't. And I know, and I get that that's not relevant, but that's where I go, is like, I don't believe in that. So I just want to invite you to first, hi guys, first look at that for yourself. Is like, are you trying to find some sort of belief in your world for ask and receive or actualization or working and playing with the universe before you choose it? Or are you willing to just start choosing it and see what shows up? So this is what I started to do really actively probably 3 weeks ago, was I was like, I'm just going to pretend like it's true, and this is what I'm inviting you to do. Like, if you're similar to me and belief has been a thing, and like if you don't believe in it, you just don't play with it, then I'm inviting you out of that thing one into the play of seeing if your life can actually be easy. And thing two is actually learning how to get clear with yourself. And so Tanya, you just wrote in, like, what the fuck do I actually want my life and living to be like? Yeah. And that's the question, right? Like, what do you want your life and your living to actually be like? And here's the thing about that, and I know I've talked about this a million times before, but you hear it when you hear it, you get it when you get it, that's the play of discovering stuff, right? Like, I didn't know, so these are linen sheets on this bed, right here. That's linen, okay? That sounds romantic as fuck, and they are really delicious, like linen sheets. But I didn't know till I slept on linen sheets that that's not actually something that I'm asking for in the future, because they're kind of also exfoliating. And it turns out I like microfiber or 600 thread count cotton sheets. But I didn't know that till I started laying on all kinds of different sheets. So part of getting clear with what you want your life and your living to be like is being willing to adventure outside the confines of like work to home and home to work and home to the grocery store and home back home to sleep to thing to that to work to this to that. Part of actually discovering what's going to light your shit up is getting out of the work to home and and go to work, right? And actually choosing some things that give you some more information. So, I mean, that could look like doing house tours, that could look like traveling, that could look like just driving somewhere else, that could look like laying on everything just to see what your skin likes. Part of this is the exploration of it, like trying on, you gotta go try on some realities. You gotta go to TJ Maxx or whatever that discount store is or whatever the stores are and start trying stuff out. But thing too is like, you guys do already have some clues. Like some of the clues that I had recently was I wanted to live in a house. Some of the clues came from what I had already chosen that I knew weren't my favorite, right? Like one of the things that showed up, I love you guys. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Irvin. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Katie. Hi, Arvind. Was I realized that I wanted to live in a house where the freedom to just live and have parties was a possibility. I didn't realize that I liked having parties as much as I do. And I do. And I like it when I live in the house that you can have those parties, right? I like it when everybody else in the house likes having parties too, basically. I really, really, really want to be surrounded with people that function from generosity of spirit. You know, where they're as generous with themselves as they are with me. I've chosen so many situations where I was the most generous one in the thing, and there was the pretense of generosity, but not necessarily like that full-throated, just generosity of spirit, you know? Hi, guys. Hi, Aubrey. Hi, Sabrina. Oh, God, there's so many other things, but the exercise that she took us through is, I'm very likely going to be doing a 30-day thing on this, but I'm just going to give it to you here because you can just take it away from this thing and go do it yourself. And it's something that I've gone through before, but I'm going to tell you the one thing that made this really different. So Steph took us through like getting the energy of what do you want your life to be like with food? And I started at first like writing down some really specific things, like I want to go out to eat blah, 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 blah times, and I want somebody else to pay for it, and da-da-da. And as I was doing all that and I was sort of getting really kind of nitty gritty with the specifics of things, it was like, oh no, what are the energies of that? So I was looking at like when I taste things, and this sounds really simple, but hang in there with me because this gets to like work and life and a discovery that I made that may be really helpful for you. Food, simple, right? Like I know that I want the things that go on my tongue to just kind of melt. I want, like if I'm going to eat a steak, I'd rather not have to hack through it. I'd like it to just like melt like butter under my fork, and when I put it in my mouth, it just like simmers into the back of my tongue, right? Like that's, if I could have my food reality any which way, those energies, right? Whatever words you'd put with those energies. What would I like my body reality to be like? I want to love being in my skin, and I pretty much do, like just love. And then the stuff that I put on my skin, I just bought a bunch of silk yesterday. Okay, my body loves silk. Who knew? I don't want to have to worry about like unbuttoning a button all the time because like I bought jeans that were too tight, and then when I sit down everything pooches over, so then I do have to do that sometimes still. But I'm just saying, like if I could have my perfect, the energies of clothes on my body would be clothes that my body loves to be in, right? Like that's just like all that stuff. The energy of what do I want my reality to be with money? Right? Like all of this, I want the ease, like I desire the ease of money just coming in. Like what does it be like to have tens of thousands of dollars just coming in, getting that energy. So you go through all of these areas, right? With food, with your body, with money, with a relationship. What do you want a relationship to be like? And that's where I was like, oh, generosity of spirit, and like that having that energy of someone who includes you in what they do. They don't necessarily need to be around you all the time, but they include you. That energy of fun and playfulness and sexualness and like all of those energies. And here's the thing that I wanted to tell you is that one of the first things I noticed is that through all of these areas, a lot of the energies were really similar, like almost identical. I really was asking for a lot of the similar energies through them, and I was having a lot of them. The one area that got really weird. Hi guys. Okay, I got interrupted. So I was going through all these different energies of all these different areas of my life. Well, the one area that got really, really weird energetically was when I looked at what do I want the energy, what do I want my life to be like with work? And the thing that showed up with work was I couldn't actually, work for me was became really dense. When I looked at what do I want it to be like, I couldn't tap into all the sexualness and the yumminess and all that other stuff of silk and melting steak and, there was none of those energies there. So I sort of looked at the area of work, hi Kristen, hi Asgard, and sort of muddled my way through that. But it struck me that I couldn't actually perceive in the area of work ease and yummy and blah, all that silk, basically. There was no silk in work, right? Work for me was this other thing. So that was thing one, and then the first part of the exercise that I just want to give you, it's like take every area of your life and just ask yourself, hey, what do I want this to be like? And start getting a sense of it. Now, some of the senses you're going to get from like concrete things, right? Some of the senses you're going to get from like blah, 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 like green leaves and silk and, there's a sheepskin rug down here that is so, so soft. That's going to give you the energy of it. And what's going to come up as you do this is probably a lot of stuff, a lot of points of view. Well, work can't be like a sheepskin rug. Well, what would it take for our connection to stay? Right, stuff's going to come up that tells you can't. And that's fine. Just let it come up. Just let it be there. The more important thing is that you start to get this really strong sense of what you want your life to be like. Okay, so thing number 2 with this exercise is, let's take money as an example. So let's say you get a sense of what it would be like to have tens of thousands of dollars coming into your bank account. And truly, I want you to close your eyes when you do this and go, if you were getting PayPal emails every single day, all the time for stuff that people were buying, or if you were just getting checks in the mail, or if, what would that be like for money to literally just be trundling into your world? What would that be like? So what you want to start to look at with all of this is what does work mean to you? Are work and money connected, right? What do they mean to you? What does money mean to you? What does work mean to you? What does, and then with some of these things that you write down, let's say about, if you are getting the energy of a man in your life, for example, or a woman in your life, if you prefer that. If you say you want somebody that's as generous with themselves as they are with you, what do you mean by that? What does that look like for you? Because the more specific that you can get with yourself, and this is all, to actualize anything just requires that you get specific with yourself. Sometimes when we say we want a good relationship, what we mean is we want somebody that pays for dinner all the time. Sometimes when we say we want tens of thousands of dollars in our bank account, what we mean is I want that as long as it means I don't have to work. Sometimes when we say this thing, it actually means to us this other thing. And what happens when we don't get clear is that we aren't actually asking for the thing we say we're asking for, and so the thing we say we're asking for can't show up because the universe has nothing to get behind. It doesn't know what it is you're asking for because you don't actually know what it is you're asking for. And that's probably one of my favorite things about the Access Consciousness tools and being a facilitator is I get to ask a lot of people, well, what do you mean by that? Not well, what do you mean by that, asshole? But well, what do you mean by that? When you say this, what do you mean by that? And I do a lot of that too when I'm getting to know new people is especially when you're dating. It's people will say all kinds of stuff when you're dating and you get to just ask them, well, what do you mean by that? Well, the thing that they said that you thought meant this because that's what it means to you was not what it actually means to them. So you getting clear on what it is you mean by tens of thousands of dollars in your bank account is very different from me saying that I want tens of thousands of dollars in my bank account. It's the same thing with like, I love you. I can say I love you and you can say I love you, and they're going to mean two totally different things. So what do you mean by that is this epic question to ask myself, like to ask yourself about when it comes to getting clear on things. Because one of the things we do to ourselves so dynamically is we capture ourselves in these little perfect traps. So first of all, utopian ideals and conceptual constructs, I know those are big phrases, are huge in this reality. That is how you're supposed to create your life in this reality. You learn what the utopian ideals are of marriage and of work and of this and of that and of the conceptual constructs by which you have to judge yourself about whether or not you got that right or succeeded, right? That's how we're supposed to create. So when we say things to the universe or we're asking for things that we're not actually clear about, if you're not clear, it's very likely you're functioning from either someone else's point of view, something you decided a long time ago that you should want, all these different things, some utopian ideal that you picked up somewhere that sounded like a good idea. Things that sound like a good idea are not things that can actually show up in your life. Just because tens of thousands of dollars sounds like a good idea doesn't mean that it's something that you're actually choosing to be in the world, that you're willing to do or be whatever it takes, that you're choosing. Right? Asking actually has a choice innate with it. So if you are asking and things aren't showing up, you can actually just start to wonder, well, what did I mean by that? What did I ask for? What did I think I asked for? And what did I mean by that? And what am I actually asking for? Do I really desire tens of thousands of dollars to show up on my bank account? I mean, if I do that, that means all kinds of things. That's a different tax bracket. That's, what does that mean in terms of clients? What am I really willing to be, whatever it takes for that to occur, is one of the things. What does that mean to me? What kind of effort have I decided that means I need to put forward? Is this a choice I'm making no matter what it takes? And that's the key thing, because the universe only gets behind choices. And asks that have choices just in them, true asks, true like, hey, what's it going to take for this to show up? And just then going, okay, I chose it, now what? That's what can show up. So I've been seeing this dynamically in the last 3 weeks, because since that class, I made my list, I did all these energies, I got really clear on a bunch of stuff, and I'm telling you, within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, almost everything on my list has shown up. And so what I've been playing with, hi Sheena, hi Joanna, what I've been playing with lately is waking up and just going, well, if ask and receive truly doesn't require for me to believe it, to have it, and all I have to do is go, what's it gonna, I'll have this, I'll have that, I'll have this, truly, like just choosing it and choosing it and choosing it. I've just been waking up in the morning, well, what's it gonna take for this? And what's it gonna take for this? And what's it gonna take for this? And again, I know this sounds like a familiar conversation, it's new for me, so welcome to the newness for me. And also, I thought this may be helpful, because there's a lot of us, so like, okay, I never did get to Kathy Jackson's email. She wrote me, and she goes, what would it take for me to physically actualize a beautiful home by water before the end of my lease with total ease? Okay, so here's the other thing about asking, is if your ask has lots of caveats, it can't show up. Why? Because you've already concluded how you want it to show up. And conclusions kill the universe from contributing to you. They're a decision and a conclusion that actually just destroys everything you thought you were asking for. So this has a bunch of different things in it. And the other thing that I have the benefit of, because she wrote in and I get to be the objective, observing one on this thing, is that there's lots and lots of energies in this that she may not even be aware of she's functioning from. So what would it take for me to physically actualize a beautiful home by the water before the end of my lease with total ease? The first thing I'd ask Kathy is, what does beautiful mean to you? What does beautiful mean to you? Beautiful to me and beautiful to you are two totally different things. Stephanie and I have already discovered that, we share a lot of aesthetics, but you never share all the aesthetics with another person. Beautiful to Joanna is different than beautiful is to me. So what does beautiful mean to you? What does home mean to you? I can be pretty at home if I've got a good set of clothes, or at least money to buy new clothes, and a few essentials like my laptop, my phone, my tripod, you know what I mean? All my toiletries and a Sephora nearby, I can feel at home almost anywhere, probably anywhere. And so for me, home has different meaning than it does for you. So what does home mean to you? By water before the end of my lease. So do you want it to be by a bathtub? Do you want it to be by a cup of water? Do you want it to be by the ocean? Do you want it to be by a river? Are you cool if it shows up by any water? So like if there was a garden hose sitting next to it, would that be enough for you? Because this was something else I became aware of, is like, because I hadn't gotten specific about, and here, there's a difference between concluding and specific. Because I hadn't gotten clear that these things were, I really love them and I was choosing those things. Stuff was showing up, but it didn't look like it was showing up because I hadn't actually gotten clear with myself about what I meant before the end of my lease with Total Ease. So a different way of asking this is like, what would it take for me to physically actualize a home that my body loves by the ocean, anywhere in the, you know, like that's easy. Like what would it take for me to actualize a home that my body loves that had like, and so if you notice, like I'm even noticing, like as I'm saying it, it has all these energies in it, right? You don't have to have words for all those energies. It's that sense of the home, that when you walk into it, it has that sense right there. By the water, as soon as possible with Total Ease. And what would it take for it to work out greater than I could possibly imagine? And what that does is that's an open-ended ask and choice that the universe can now contribute to you. That home is going to show up when it shows up, at the time that it shows up. And this is the thing about the How to Become Money workbook that is also so relevant to ask and receive. Okay, just got an idea. Where it talks about control. Like control is the knowing that you'll get exactly what it is that you've asked for, when you get it, how you get it. But it's the knowing. It's like, I chose that, it's gonna occur, now you move on to the next thing. So here's the other mistake that we make, or whatever thing that we do when it comes to asking and receiving is like, so let's say this question right here, what would it take for me to physically actualize a beautiful home by the water before the end of my lease with Total Ease? She has a very specific thing in mind that she wants to have. Now, the thing about this is that there's getting the specific energies and then there's getting the specific thing. And if the specific thing doesn't show up, you think that we tend to go to conclusion about the universe didn't show up for me, or my ask is broken, or the tools don't work, or whatever we do. So it's going, okay, this sense of a home, this sense of the water, this sense of the ease that would be present if it showed up before the end of your lease, this sense. So if you get the energy of those things, and then you let them show up the way they show up, how they show up, that's what's gonna actually make your life easy, fun, get you everything that you want with Total Ease. The moment you go to, I need this kind of house with this kind of view, with this kind of thing, basically what you're doing is you're narrowing the possibilities. I'm not saying that you can't have those things. It's that you've basically taken this wide, broad expanse of possibilities that could expand your life beyond your wildest dreams, and you've narrowed them down to like 1 or 2, maybe 3. And that's not wrong, it's just what it is. So it's also looking at, when you're doing this, is like, okay, do I actually desire infinite possibilities, or would I like the 1? Right? And I don't know about you, but I like having choice. You know, I'd rather be at a buffet of possibilities than just like the 2 or 3 that I know are on the menu. It's like, oh, you're a chef that will cook me anything I want? Well, what are the infinite possibilities? What would be really fun? And guess what? When you start asking those questions, guess what starts to show up? The awareness of the infinite possibilities. The awareness of how this could turn out greater than you could possibly imagine. And then what you want to do with that ask is move the fuck on. Move on to your next asks. You know how we talk about humanoids need 22,000 things going on at the same time? Double that. Why? Because what we'll do with an ask like this most of the time is we will sit there and try to contract and control it into existence. That kills it. So the thing that you just asked for, it would be like taking this plant and planting it in this pot and then squeezing it to death so that it will grow. You actually strangle the plant. And instead of putting this in the pot, giving it all the things that it requires, the light, the water, the soil, and letting it be. actually letting the plant do its thing. Do plant things, right? And then just keeping tabs on it and like watering it and pulling and tweaking and like tugging and like, what else can I be? What else can I add? What else, right? And now this plant is like so happy, just being grateful for the plant. Do you know how much plants grow when you're grateful for them? They just like, and going, oh my God, I'm so grateful. And the knowing that you're a plant, you're going to do plant things, and I'm so grateful that you're a plant. Your ask it's an ask. It's going to do ask things. Guess what ask things do when you really ask and you really choose? They show up. That's what they do. So when you instill doubt and all the stuff that we do and conclusions, and well, it didn't show up by this time, and so therefore I must not have, and that's when you're killing the plant thing. It can't do its plant thing anymore because you've now spiked into it and slashed it off the top and like, mauled it to death because it's not doing what you thought it should do in the time that you thought it should do it. And that's where our utopian ideals of the how and the when and the why show up and actually destroy the very thing that we're nurturing into existence just by asking. So I say all that to say, ask for more things all the time. If you don't know what to ask for, start looking for things to ask for. What else can I ask for? What else would I like to be better in my life? Okay, so what would it take for furniture to show up that I absolutely love? What would it take for, I've been asking for already, knowing that my car's got to go back to Canada. I'm like, okay, so what would it take for a car that my body loves down here in the States to show up with total ease? Or anything else in the car department. What would it take for this car to be easy to keep in the States? Like, what would it take for all of this to turn out greater than I could possibly imagine? So the moment you go, so let's take the car as an example, and then I'll go because I could talk about this for freaking ever, apparently. My car is Canadian. It's down here in the States. I'm looking at staying down here in the States. So the traditional route is you got to import the car, pay for a big fee thing, and they got to do some stuff to the car. It's got to be inspected and thing, and then you got to get a new license plate. That's the traditional thing when you're importing a car. I've just been asking, like, okay, so that's one set of energies. So if you look at that whole thing, all those steps have energies, all of them. This has an energy, that has an energy, that, and a lot of them are pretty sharp-edged energies. Now, I'm willing to do all that stuff. If that's what it comes down to, I'm willing to do it. And this is also another key in the actualization of things, is being willing to do whatever it takes. Sometimes it takes filing your taxes, right? Willing. And what else is possible that I haven't even considered? Like, to be able to drive a car that my body loves. Do I need to drive that car? Not necessarily. Does it need to stay down here? Not necessarily. None of those things that I need to stay the way they are, they can all change. I require and desire a car that my body loves. So I've just been asking, okay, so what's it going to take for that to just be easy? So I got the energy of all the linear things, and then I looked at the energy of ease, and I was like, okay, so this energy with the car thing, and energy of the car that my body loves, that I currently have, actually, that I'm so grateful for, that doesn't right now need to change. So that's the other thing, is really acknowledging that you have already a lot of what you think you don't have. Almost all the time I find this. And another thing is that I almost all the time find that the thing that I'm asking for has been around me the whole time, usually. So that's another thing of like, okay, so you're pulling in things that you don't have, but also going, okay, so how could this be easier than I could possibly imagine? If I want to purchase a house, how could that be easier than I could possibly imagine? Anyway, I adore you too. I can't wait to see you. I'm going to be in Utah for a foundation. If you guys are close by, I start Thursday, and then after that I'm heading to Saskatchewan for a foundation if you want to join us there. After that, we're going to be in Napa for a foundation down there. There are so many classes coming up, so I just encourage you guys, if you haven't taken foundation yet or you want to get a repeat, come to my class or come to somebody else's class or get your ass to a foundation. They're just ridiculously fun and life-changing. And if you liked this, please share it so other people can find it. I cannot do this without you guys. I'm so grateful, and I'll see you guys next week.